And so we enter Dragon Roost Cavern, the first dungeon of the Wind Waker. Not too hard a dungeon, of course, it is the first one. Now you're going to notice these 3 blocks over here. Reason I point them out is because you're supposed to pull them out of place, as you'll see in this jump cut. That's because silly me, forgot. Actually, no, it wasn't my fault this time. Not entirely, I should say. The dazzle was starting to drop frames a lot, and so I had to cut that part out, unfortunately. It's not too difficult. We're going to be pulling a lot of blocks out later, so it's block pulling and pushing. It's a very simple block puzzle, if at all. And speaking of simple puzzles, this one is a very, very common attribute of all Zelda games. It's simply lighting torches, usually 2, sometimes 1 to match another one that's already lit, in order to get a treasure chest to appear. And with that, we get our first key. Small key, rather. There are 2 types of keys in Legend of Zelda. Small keys, which open regular doors, which you need as for, like, rewards for puzzles and whatnot. And then big keys, which lead to the boss door. Of course, there's only 1 big key, and usually about, I'd say, at least 3 or 4 small keys in any dungeon at a given time. So yeah, this is the Dragon Roost Cavern, located right behind what passes for the post office in the Legend of Zelda's, or the Wind Waker. So yeah, next time you visit your local post office, make sure to check behind the building that there is a giant active volcano and there's a lava dungeon located in there. Well, why not go in and check out, see if you can't find any treasure, but make sure to bring your hero sword. Now, of course, along as with the outside, they're going to have bomb flowers in here as well. There's also these pots, another gimmick they add in the dungeon. You see, if you fill it with water, you put it in to cool the lava, you make a temporary platform. It's temporary because after a while, it will disintegrate, so be careful. We open up this chest here, we get one of the other items you will find in all dungeons. They are not necessary for 100%, I don't believe. Actually, no, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're not. This is the dungeon map. Now, I go ahead and show you right here really quick what Dragon Roost looks like as to the dungeon map. 4 floors, not too bad. There are a couple of, I think of 1 or 2 bigger dungeons, or bigger, I mean more floors. Green areas are where we visited, the black areas are where we haven't yet. The second item you get in the dungeons is the compass. The compass will show you where all hidden chests are in the dungeon. Of course, we're going to be needing that because I want to get all of the treasures in the dungeons to make sure that I absolutely don't forget anything. And what you're going to notice here really quick is that we can actually pick up enemy weapons. These are useful for breaking down barriers or doing certain things, like with the bokoblins at the beginning. We took their sticks. We could use those to light torches on fire. You don't get any specific item for it, but like you see here, I can use the machete to break down these reinforced wooden planks. We go ahead and move on here and get the next small key. This makes 2. Usually you'll only ever actually have 1 small key at a time. But moving on, we see these new enemies. These are red shoes, and of course they drop a correspondingly red shoe jelly. We can't use it in this form right now, but we have to take it to a specific shop on Windfall Island, and according to the definition 100%, we need to unlock all of the regular potions that you can achieve. You see them right there in our spoils bag. That includes the red potion, which restores health by 8 hearts, and 2 other potions which we haven't got to yet because we don't have anything that they can recover. But moving on here, we see another boulder puzzle. I almost fall off there. Thanks for the recoil on the hitboxes for the sword. But anyway, you're supposed to... You can use a spin attack to hit the bombs, but you can also use a rocks or a pot right there to break it. You see we've gone full circle. That's because all of that work was just to get a small key so we could bring it back to this door, so yay for that. There's a bunch of other small places in here if you're not doing 100%, which holds treasure charts that we're going to be getting. We see a whole plethora of red shoes here. I'm going to take the opportunity to try to kill them so I can get some red shoe jelly out of them, but they just don't feel like giving it up. But the corresponding key item that we're going to get for this dungeon will actually help with that a lot, especially with all of the collectibles, as a matter of fact, that we need to acquire. Now, that bokoblin doesn't have a machete to break down this wood, but he does have a... I don't think they're called Deku sticks. Yeah, I think they are, actually. Well, anyway, you get these Deku sticks, that's what I'm calling it from now on, to light on fire. And then we just go through that door and get another... did we get a small key out of that? No, we didn't. You know, I really am glad that this speed up makes the viewing of these videos a lot faster and just a lot more simpler. Though I have to admit, for my commentary, it can be a little... I don't want to say grating, but whatever. It just a little understanding if I fall behind is all I'm asking. Yeah, I'm a real twit here. I accidentally, thanks for the camera, I tried to move the control stick up so the camera tilts slightly. Well, I go to press A because I thought it would mean climb up. It actually lets go. So yeah, I fall there and I had to cut again. That's all so we can get to this bomb flower. As I said, the bomb flowers have a fuse time of about 7 seconds. You just gotta time it at a good about point. I just don't want it to bounce off of the boulder and then it just goes out of the blast radius and I have to do it all over again. More block puzzles, yay. This one's not too bad. Just pull out this one halfway and you can make a small stairway for yourself. Now as we come into this sector, there's something that King of Red Lions feels absolutely compelled to tell us.
Link, have you seen any filthy thieving rats around? I know they are annoying, but keep your wits about you. They are only rats. If you spread bait near their nest, they might share some of their treasure with you. Why don't you try it?
Okay, so anytime you see any of the rat holes in the walls, which honestly, beyond Dragon Roost Cavern, I haven't seen too many at all, but you go ahead and drop some bait and a rat will come out and he will actually sell us some stuff, some things that they've acquired. There's just one issue. This is the blue potion, the second potion, but for 80 rupees, that's a complete rip-off. There is a much easier, much more efficient way to get a hold of blue potions. And we're going to be getting into that into the second area that we head to. But right now, we have 2 chests in this room. We go ahead and get this Deku stick because we need a line of fire to break down that wooden barricade on the other side of the room. Just go ahead and go to first person to aim properly. It took me a few playthroughs to learn that trick. Other than that, all I could do for measure was to just drop on that bottom, the bottom block, and go ahead and throw it from there. It would just happen to hit the very top of it, and it would count, and it would burn away. So the first one has a small key which needs to proceed. The second one here has the compass. Now, as I said, while we're getting the compass here in the animation, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys that since the normal pathway through the dungeon well, I want to say it's not set, but rather everything that you could get along the way, as I show you here all the places where the chests could be, they're not necessarily in a set path. In other words, you're going to have to go off the beaten path in order to get all of those extra chests. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of jump cuts ahead of time, just to warn you, when we're done with the regular go-around and acquiring what we need to. We're almost there, whereas you can see we're obviously climbing Dragon Roost. This has got to be the easiest key to get in Legend of Zelda history. Just have that enemy move. I guess those are Helmarocks? I don't know. I mean, because Helmarock King is just like a bigger, burlier version of them, but whatever. He flies out of the way, and it's just sitting right there in his nest, ready for you to take. Almost makes you wonder why they just put a lock on the door to begin with. Oh gosh, just let me go through it then. Okay, we get another joy pendant in this small chest. These joy pendants get our collectibles. If I hadn't mentioned this before, we're going to need a whopping 40 of them. I say whopping 40 because most of the other collectibles you'll need at least 20 to redeem whatever you need to collect them for. Now, these jars over here, these jars with like these different colored smoke coming out of them, those are warp jars. Those are effectively fast travel points. If you save and quit, you'll start at the beginning of the dungeon always. So that one will take us to this point from the first one, which is green smoke. This is the blue one with a blue smoke is usually the second one, and of course the last one has like yellow gold smoke. This room, it locks up on us. Usually when a room locks up like that, it's because you have to solve a puzzle or beat certain enemies, and very rarely, or not very rarely, at least once in the dungeon, because we'll be doing it for a sub-boss, kind of like how we had in the Forsaken Fortress. We had to get our Acero sword back. This one is rather tedious. You have to beat Bokoblins in order to unlock the doorways, but some of them are hiding in jars, and that is an attribute that's not going to go away until the end of the game. I jump cut here because there's no way around it. I screwed in the editing. I just realized it right now. It happens. So here's another example of what I was talking about Whoa. What is wrong with me? No, seriously, what's wrong with my editing skills here? I guess I tripped up in trying to cut and paste the scenes from the Dazzle. But I digress. We go ahead, we get our third treasure chart. And when we get more freedom in our sailing, is when we're going to actually go ahead and open these up one at a time so we can keep track of where we need to head and get the treasure from the said treasure charts. There is a small tidbit, or rather a small treat that you can get for smashing all of these pots, or is looking through all of them. If you see any pots on any high boards like that, just go ahead and hit the wall and the force will cause it to drop. And we get another joy pendant, which, like I said, we're going to be needing plenty of those. So yeah, I promise that bad editing will not happen again, and if so, I'll have a very good reason for it. We go ahead and I actually get the early jump here. That's sort of a frame saver, kind of a time saver as well. You just jump as the platform appears for the from the lava. This is the boss room door. Hence, the boss is on the other side of the door in this room. However, of course, we still need to get the big key in order to open it. So there's the the third jar. Second that we found, so we can warp all the way up here to the boss door if we ever have to save and quit. But we reached the top of Dragu's Cavern, and there is Valu up and close, and he is not happy at all. So yeah, not that I didn't believe the Rito, but gosh, his wailing, my gosh. So we make our way up here, we actually find out Medli has been captured by these, I want to call them elite bokoblins. You'll see me taking a picture of them, and that's because of the Nintendo Gallery. However, I clearly forget that the Nintendo Gallery accepts colored photos, not black and white photos. So go ahead and disregard that Photoshop. These guys aren't too much of a problem. However, this guy coming up here, this two-part sub-boss fight, is going to be rather annoying. This Moblin, you'll notice, just like the other bokoblins who are different from the dark blue bokoblins, and this Moblin, which are different colors, they're more than just palette swaps. They actually do have more health and do more damage. This guy in particular is really annoying because you'll see here a couple of times he can put up his staff, or rather his spear, to block our hits, just making the fight that much longer, which is really aggravating. Now, because we have the Hero Sword, which just has the smallest damage output, it's going to take a couple of hits to beat this guy. There you see him causing that. Usually if you do a jump and slash, or just unlock from him and then take a swing at him, it'll like hit his, it'll strike his hitboxes off kilter and it'll count as a hit. These are like little orbs. They're sort of like party balls. That's the best description for them. And they have a bunch of stuff in them, including the collectible item you can get off the enemy. These are skull necklaces, just like with any other collectible. We're going to need to collect 20 of these. Now, let's go ahead and see what Medli was able to find out from his capture, why they held her.
Link, you came to rescue me. Oh, thank you. I have to tell you what I found out. This is terrible. Some creature is doing awful things to the Great Valu's tail. That's why he's so angry.
Yep, he looks angry.
The Great Valu's tail hangs down into the room right below here. There's got to be something in there. I wonder if those mean monsters who captured me have something to do with it. We've got to do something now before it's too late. I'll go and tell everyone what's happening. Here, Link, use this to get out of here. It's what I used to get this far. It's a device we Rito used before we evolved wings.
And so we acquired the grappling hook, one of the most versatile and useful items in the game ever, arguably one of the best, even more so than the Wind Waker, I dare say. Of course, the Wind Waker is a very key item as well. I'm just saying that this item is just incredibly useful.
Here, Link, climb on that little ledge over there so I can show you something.
Okay, so now Medli is going to teach us here how to effectively use the grappling hook, so let's go ahead and equip it. The grappling hook is one of the weapons, and technically is a weapon. You're going to notice that the voice disappears, and that's because stupid me in the pre-recording was pressing A way too fast, and no matter how I tried to sync it, the voices weren't going to keep up with the text boxes, so rather than have it look sloppy, just go ahead and sum it up. You go ahead and take out the grappling hook. Just aim for where you can, you see the red dot as the normal cursor. Whenever you see that yellow flash, you can actually go ahead and just grapple on, and then there's of course the grappling hook isn't used for just this and getting across areas. You can actually hold down the R button to stop us midway, climb up it, go down it, change our direction, everything. It's almost like a portable rope, just like the rope course inside the pirate ship. And it's going to be very useful that way, not only for that, but you're going to show it right here, actually. You can target enemies and use the grappling hook to steal items from them. You can steal hearts, you can steal rupees, usually 1 or 5 at most. Or you can steal their collectible, which is what I'm going to do a lot of the times with just about all of them, at least once. Go ahead, usually what's going to happen here is we're going to go ahead and take the grapple hook out, take their item, and then finish them off. It's just more proficient that way, because it's better to do that than risk them not dropping it, because the RNG has another chance to strike again, and I just do not want to give it the chance. You actually have to come down here, so you can burn or slash these ropes apart, and once you've gotten rid of enough of them, it'll give way. And so we defeat all the goblins to get access to this chest down here, and we get another joy pendant. So yeah, some of these treasure chests, I should probably mention to be more specific, not all of the chests in the dungeons have useful items. Some of them will have, like, bombs when we get a hold of them. Some of them will have joy pendants, which there might be easier ways to get a hold of them. And some of them will actually have stuff that we need for 100%. That area right there is really annoying because of the 3 ropes. You actually have to go ahead and do a You can be fancy and do the control stick spin attack, but I just had to give up because if you'll notice my heart's changed a lot. That means I failed a whopping 3 times since attempt number 4. You just go ahead and do the regular standard hold B spin attack and get rid of those 3 ropes at the same time. Otherwise, you'll go off kilter and you will fall and you have to do it all over again. Here's a nice little mechanic as well. You don't always have to grapple across from platform to platform. This particular grappling hook actually holds a switch to open that door back there. And I missed the momentum and have to jump cut again. I'll have a blooper reel for this stuff, which I might in the future. I just gotta make room, or yeah, just make room on my laptop. Okay, so here's an example of what you can do with the rope. Go ahead and stop and change our direction and the length, which will affect our swing. It's not too bad. We're moving on here is pretty much that what any general route for a dungeon will consist of this. Going in there, finding your way to the sub-boss to get the key item, and then fight your way to get to the big key, which will allow you to fight the boss, which you have to defeat with the key item you received in that dungeon. Zelda isn't particularly good at making use of all your items throughout the entire game. You do see some use of them once in a while, but not nearly as often as other games might make use of all your items. And though, of course, this varies. I personally am in between about that. But digress. We get the big key in this big fancy chest here, complete with evil eye and gold set, golden crest. Now all we have to do is make our way back up. However, we could just go ahead and save and quit, and then start at the very beginning of the dungeon and just go ahead and warp back via the warp pots. But what you're going to see me do here is that, because we're doing 100%, I'm actually going to do some jump cutting and collecting along the way, as you see here, attacking those bow goblins with the grappling hook to get their joy pendants. And we're going to go ahead and double back and get a hold of all the treasures in the dungeon that we're going to need to finish our quest here 100%. This one back here, if you recall, a couple of minutes ago, I believe on the video, been like maybe half an hour for me. Okay, maybe not that long, but anyway. Just make our way across here. Those those regular wooden plank barricades you can just break with your own hero swords. That's not too bad, at least. If they really wanted to be mean, they could have made it to where we have to get a machete, throw it across there, and it would just be more tedious. I would not put it past Nintendo to do that, but here we get Triforce chart number 4. And that'll complete our Triforce charts for this dungeon. All that remains is the 2 chests right near the boss door, and then we'll take on the boss himself. And finally see what it is causing problems for Valu and made this whole mess in the first place. So yeah, Medli was obviously right. It wasn't just those monsters that had something to do with this. It was in fact Ganon in the Shadow of the Forsaken Fortress doing this, so I'll go ahead and show you here what the warp pods will do. Nice little phase out. And we go to pot number 2. Unfortunately, I forgot about this. You do actually have to go in succeeding order, so you have to go from 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3. Which is supposed to make sense. You could just choose where you want to stop, either midway relatively through the dungeon or the last part. These Inferno centipedes, that's not their official name, but you see right there, there's a pay reanimation for them. I was hoping to get a yellow rupee out of him. Sometimes he'll drop that. Speaking of yellow rupee, that's what this chest has. So see, what I want to do is not have to go out of my way, since this is my first time going to 100%, and find those needless chests where rupees I can get later. Here we get a Knight's Crest. This is another collectible, a very rare collectible, and it's a very useful one at that. But because it's so rare, we're going to have to make it a very big point to... What is up with these double takes? I don't know. Again, I sincerely apologize. I would fix it, but I don't want to desync everything that I already have any worse than I had already, evidently. You see me fail twice here. I don't know what the problem is. I am trying to get a fairy in my bottle. It just won't work. But I digress. I'd rather save face. We're just going to take on the boss. So this is the cavern below where Valu sits. So what's causing a problem? Or the problem? Oh, there's his tail. Okay, so this is Goma. You do not defeat her by using the Wind Waker. That was just silly me. I usually equip my That's just muscle memory. I usually equip my grappling hook on the Z button, which is where the Wind Waker's at. Now you'll see that Valu's tail is not there just for decoration or the cause of what's going on here. You actually use it as a grapple point, and he notices it, of course. He causes his tail to move around, and you'll see that we can actually damage Goma's armor. That's because, of course, we can't do anything to Goma immediately. Now, this is a little bit of RNG trolling right here. These fireballs drop randomly, so if you want to get an early grapple hook onto Valu's tail, you just have to risk it and aim for it and wait for it to come down and just hope that the fireballs don't hit you and knock you off your shot. As with anything, I wouldn't say not even Nintendo related, but almost always Nintendo related. The magic number is 3 here. So if you don't see a health bar, which you can see a health bar, but we'll get to that later. But for Goma's armor, it'll take 3 hits from that huge boulder slab that's hanging from the ceiling with Valu's tail. So we go ahead and we get the... I actually had a really smooth Goma fight here, because if Goma starts hitting you, it's really hard to get out of its... it just keeps attacking you repeatedly. It's so annoying and aggravating to have to get the grapple hook up to its proper position again. And now Goma is free of her armor, but you don't have to... No, not the Wind Waker again. Hello. See, there you go. Luckily, sometimes Goma's claw will get stuck in the ground like that, giving you an opportunity to retaliate. If Goma's eye is up there, you don't have to worry about it, or her having to come down and breathe fire at you. You actually can use the grapple hook, which counts as an attack. I get fancy points for doing a jump attack there, finishing it off. You'll actually notice that I am probably either on the exact boundary or because of the invincibility frames, thanks to the cutscene. I think I'm in the lava slightly, because I jumped in there, and before the hitbox is registered as damage, the cutscene activated. And Link is happy, we rejoice! Our first boss has been taken down, not too difficult at all. It's just a slight puzzle boss at the beginning, and then just a standard boss at the end. Really nothing too difficult at all. And there's our way out of here, led by the wind, which is themed for this game, and we get our first full heart container. Bosses will only ever drop full heart containers. The heart pieces that we need to get for more heart containers have to be made by us by collecting 4, as I said. And with that, let us go and retrieve Din's Pearl, and I'll see you guys then.